So what we have here is Amazing Spider-Man number 61. This is the first appearance of Gwen Stacy on the cover of a comic book. And I'll review this later, but one of the things I don't like about this one is that later, this is the events in the episode just before the continuity was changed later to say that Gwen Stacy had a secret affair with Norman Osborn, which is like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in a Spider-Man comic before. But I'll review that later. What I'm talking about now is that this book, which is a VG, I'm going to call it a VG, maybe VG Plus, and this is another copy of the book, which is a VF Plus, maybe even a near minus. And some of the things you want to notice here is that kind of color staining and this sort of wrinkling in the cover. And like up here, it's dirty. It's not very bright, so we're going to try to get some of that stuff out in the way that we usually do. So I'm going to take a pad, makeup pad, and some soap solution. And right here, I'm going to just see this area. Take a look at it there. I might take a quick snapshot of it first before we start so that I have a before and after picture, because I've been accused of not doing that very much, so I'm going to go ahead and do that before. And gets a little bit of light, you can get some angles on it to see where that where it's kind of wrinkly here. And what I will do is show you, we'll clean this up a little bit. I'll take this area right here, I'm just going to kind of rub it lightly. Not much dirt came off already, so we're just going to give it a light brush and get some stuff off of there. And then but we have so much here, we could take an eraser all day on this stuff, and I might take an eraser later, but this is going to be way faster to just sort of wipe this dirt off of here. This is obviously set the surface for a long time. Get this off and let it soak for about 5 or 10 seconds, and then just wipe it again, and then the dirt will start to come out. Then we will press it. And got this much dirt off the back of it, and that should be good enough. So I'm not going to do my normal in-depth review of this particular issue. I might do one later, but it's interesting that this is Gwen's first cover appearance, which is 2 issues after Mary Jane's first cover appearance. And she didn't have a lot of cover appearances. She only had cover appearances in 87, 91, 92, 100, 103, 105, 121. Well, she's alive, so like 6. But, or 6 more than a 7 total. But she shared 4 of those with Mary Jane. So 87, 91, 100, and 121, she was also on the cover with Mary Jane at the same time, and Mary Jane had a solo cover appearance on 105 without her, and she only had 2 solo cover appearances without Mary Jane in that time. So it was very clear, I think, on that they wanted Mary Jane to be the love interest, but they didn't treat her that way. So let's look at a few things here in this book. So we got this area clean, mostly. These white areas without an eraser are a lot brighter. There's still some spots in the yellow. I'm too afraid to try to clean the yellow. The yellows and reds tend to be more soluble and come off easier in my soap solution, so I'm a little reluctant to clean with those. This back is still pretty dirty. If I were to take an eraser to it, I might be able to get some of that up. It's too laborious for me. I don't like to spend a lot of time doing that, since I get dozens of books a week, and so I don't like to spend a lot of time doing this. But if you have a lot of patience, you can clean these up pretty well, and it's not coming that much better. But this book in particular has some parts about Mary Jane that I think are very interesting about the character and about Harry as well. So if you look in here, you'll see that they've got Peter's having his classic problems. Somebody's kidnapped Gwen's father, Captain Stacy, and forcing him to admit to some crime that he didn't do. which is of course right. But here's some normal teenage stuff, which is why I like these stories so much. These Silver Ages are great because. So here's take a look here. And this is maybe sideways on your screen, I think. So Harry picks up Mary Jane to take her to her go-go dancing job, and she says, "Hey, Harry-o, what's grooving, good guy? Mary Jane, why so cheerful? Why not, Dad? There are more than 2 billion people alive today, and half of them are males." And so they're dating, and this is her response, that she's cheerful because there's a billion men in the world. So I think they were sort of dating, and they were, in Harry's mind, they were dating more. But here's some more interesting stuff. She says, "Then you haven't heard some pistol-packing hoods have been looking for poor Peter." Now, in a twist of fate here, Harry is more concerned about Peter than Mary Jane is, and she says, "You're putting me on." And he reads, "And Gwen's dad is wanted by the police. It's for real, MJ. Pete's been cutting classes, and no one knows where Gwen or her dad lit out to." So Harry's concerned, and Mary Jane's only response is, "Don't lose your cool, Tiger. They'll turn up again." She's like basically saying, "Don't worry about it. How about a lift? I want to pick up my paycheck at the Gloom Room a Go-Go." So her biggest concern, there's guns looking for Peter, the people are missing, and she's like, "Hey, can you give me a ride to go get my paycheck?" Which is interesting. It's very obviously intentional. And then Harry's still on it. He says, "It doesn't make sense. Why would they go out of business so suddenly?" Oh, sorry, he's talking about why her job's out. And then she says she's very interested in getting her money. And then here we go. Here's Harry not knowing what's going on, and then Norman Osborn starting to get his memory back about being the Green Goblin, which is, of course, going to be fateful for everybody. So it's a good book for this kind of a personal story. And I like Norman Osborn starting to figure stuff out, which is interesting. And they make him sort of less of a bad guy here, and the Kingpin's more of a bad guy. But he's sort of going back and forth on stuff. But it's a fun read. I like this. And the dynamic between Harry and his dad, Norman, is not, it's at the height of its intensity here when they're going back and forth. So it's a good book. I really enjoy it. And look at this. Peter's got his COVID mask on here. That's kind of cool. He's working out some formula to make it so he can't be poisoned by the Kingpin's squirter thing. He's a flower that squirts people, so poisons them. So it's a good book. I highly recommend reading it. It's fun dialogue. And this one came out a little cleaner. It was not a great success. It was a moderate success. And I enjoyed it, and I highly recommend you read The Amazing Spider-Man number 61. Take care. Bye.